everyone, this is me, Nicky Sinha, and a very warm welcome to our YouTube session. I really hope that you guys are doing well. So you all know that we have had a discussion on the administrative setup of almost all the powerful dynasties of medieval India. We discussed the officials during the Mughal rule, we discussed the officials of Delhi Sultanate, and now we discuss the administration or the officials who were in charge of various responsibilities under the Marathas, right? Let's start with that. So as I have discussed in the earlier ones, here also we will be discussing about the central, provincial and the local administration of the Marathas. All right, so central administration, let's talk about that. As far as the central administration is concerned, the Marathas were assisted by 8 ministers who were known as the Ashtapradhan. All right, and they made up the Maratha administration. All right, let us see who are these 8 ministers. Let's remember their responsibilities. Okay, now Peshwa, he was one of the 8 ministers, very important one. He was in charge of finances and overall administration. The Senapati was the military commander, also known as Sari Naubat. Okay, so these are the 2 ministers that we have on the front. Then we have Majumdar, they were in charge of accounting. Then we have Vakya Navis, they were in charge of post, intelligence and domestic issues. Then we have Surnavis or Chitnis, they handled the correspondence, the to and fro messages which happened. So they were handling what? They were handling the correspondence, all right? After this, we have Dabir. They handled the international issues. Nyayadhish was responsible for justice, so Chief Justice, and Pandit Rao was in charge of religious matters. All right. So this is the Ashtapradhan which was assisting the Marathas in their governance. Now, it was not Shivaji who had designed the Ashtapradhan. Now, Shivaji died even before he could do all of that, right? Ashtapradhan was something which continued later, which happened later. Okay. So, several of these officers were also present in the Deccan kings. Now, you all know that the Marathas had close relations with the Deccan sultans of Ahmednagar, Bijapur, Golconda, isn't it? So, it is very obvious or very natural for them to borrow, some of the administrative officials from the Deccan kings. With the exception of Pandit Rao and Nyayadhish, all the members had to oversee military operations. These positions were not hereditary and permanent. Absolutely not. You could be changed, you could be transferred, and it is not that if you have held the position once, it would be given to your son. Absolutely not. All right. So they would also move around a lot. Okay. And they would also be assigned assistants so that it would be easy for them to carry out their work. Now, these Ashtapradhan or the 8 ministers, they are in the central part of the administration. Okay. So now let us see how the provincial and the local administration would have taken place. All right. So now the Deccani and the Mughal system, which was used in the Deccani and the Mughal system, similar systems are being used here as well. Okay? Now, every provincial division, fine, was already in place. Shivaji had just rearranged them in some cases, fine. So, provinces, all right, each province was referred to as a prant. Okay? What is each province referred to as? Each province is referred to as a prant, and that was under the command of the Subedar. All right. So if we are to understand it like this, so province was prant and prant was under the Subedar. Okay. This is how you can remember it. Okay. The subedars were there to manage and oversee the activities. All right. So we have one more official, and that is Sar Subedar, who was the head of the Subedar, and they were responsible to see the activities of whatever the Subedar was doing. Fine. Then we have division of provinces or prants into tarfs. All right. What is the division now? We have the division of provinces into tarfs, and it was headed by a havaldar. All right. Who was heading it? It was headed by a havaldar. So prant or province. So then we have prant being divided into what? Prant was further subdivided into tarfs. Okay. And who is the head here? The head here is havaldar. So you can make notes like this and it will be easy for you to remember. Now, okay. So then we have the next level of administrative division was the village or the mauzas. Now, mauzas or the village is the smallest level of administrative division. Fine. So Kulkarni was here to manage the finance. Fine. While Patil handled legal and law enforcement. Okay. So what is Kulkarni? Kulkarni is basically a village administration. Who are the officials here? The officials are Patil. All right. So he would be handling what? So, we have the Mauzas is the division, which is the village division. Then we have the Kulkarni, they're supposed to manage the finances. And then we have the Patil, they're supposed to handle legal matters. Okay? So the division is of the Mauzas, which is village. The officers are Kulkarni, and then we have the Patil. Okay? Now, then we have Deshpande. Now, Deshpande is an official at the level of the Pargana. Please remember, now we're talking about local administration as well. So, Deshpande was there to keep accounts and keep records at the Pargana level. All right. And then we have Deshmukh. He had the legal and the policing authority where at the Pargana level. Fine. The policeman was also known as Kotwal in urban areas. Fine. And Faujadar in rural areas. We also have something called the Faujadari Thana, which was very prevalent during the British India. So Faujadari Thana is something which has come up from here. So police in the rural area were also known as Faujadars. All right. Now, the Maratha central bureaucracy and the local government was run by performance-based Brahmin elites. So you know that the Peshwas were Chit Pavin Brahmins, right? And they were appointed on the basis of their performance, not on the basis of anything else, but on the basis of their performance. And obviously they had to be Brahmins. Okay. So they were known as what? They were known as Kamvishdar, all right? In this capacity had extensive tax assessment and collective authority. Okay. So Maratha central bureaucracy and local government was run by performance-based Brahmin elites. They were known as what? They were known as Kamvishdar. Fine. And they had what was their function? Their function was to tax assessment and collection. Okay. Now, okay. So they decided cases, gave information about the environment, maintained records as well. The British district collector was later based solely on this Maratha administration. So the office of British collector was actually borrowed from the Maratha administration here. From where? From this portion, from the Kamvishdars. All right. Okay, so this was all about your Maratha administration, guys. So we have discussed the administration which happened at the level of the center through the Ashtapradhan. Then we discussed the administration which was happening at the level of the provinces. Okay, so we have provinces into Prant, Prant into Tarfs, Tarfs into muavas, right? So we have tarfs into muazzas or muavas, that is how the pronunciation is, and they were village administration, the smallest unit, okay? Then we discussed the various officials, then we discussed the officials and the responsibilities of the officials at the Pargana level, fine. And finally, we discussed the Kamvishdars who were important in the central and the local government, and how the British officials also borrowed from here, how the British officials also borrowed from Maratha administration. All right. So this was all about your Maratha administration. I really hope that you have understood this. If you have any difficulty, any problem, please feel free to address them in the comment section below, and I'll be more than happy to help you with it. So this is me, Nicky Sinha, signing off. I really hope this video was useful for you. I really hope that you understood it. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to cover the administration of all the important powers, because if you've seen your syllabus, you would know that administrative officials are actually very important. They are very important for you to know. So that is why I've covered it all. All right. So thank you so much for joining me here. It was an absolute pleasure to have you all. This is me, Nicky Sinha, signing off. I will see you in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.